Sir, I did not particularly have any subscriptions or something like
Mm-hmm.
that ready, but I used to supplement my preparation with YouTube, as in if I was going to the gym or if I was cooking
Eh?
something or if I was doing
What?
something, तो सारा
Gym में?
YouTube.
It's like one more time. Gym में? मतलब,
Not just YouTube,
generally
from
people listen to hip hop or some sort of power music to get them, the lifts. But तुम वहां पे बैठ के environment कर रहे हो, बढ़िया चल रहा है. Hello everyone, welcome to the channel once more time. And today we have with us Pourush Sood, who secured AIR 29 in Civil Services Exam 2022. So first and foremost, congratulations, Pourush. How do you feel about it?
Thank you, Abhijeet, sir. It feels amazing. It feels I feel very free.
Hmm.
I've suddenly got a lot of free time to talk to friends and all, so it feels quite good.
So on that note, I completely agree. You've got such a rank ki you will get IAS. The cadre is the thing that will be the major concern for you. But any which way, I don't think that is a very big issue. The biggest advantage of your rank is that you didn't have to give prelims this year. So what's your take on 2023 ka prelims?
Right. I think when I saw the rank list, I was very happy that I wouldn't have to give prelim this year. In fact, just before the rank list came, I was just studying for the upcoming prelims itself.
Hmm.
And after seeing the paper, I'm happier that I didn't have to give it because in my view, the paper was much harder than last year,
Hmm.
especially because of the way the options were designed.
Yeah, so I think UPSC has also been watching a lot of YouTube lately कि भैया आजकल क्या चल रहा है इंडस्ट्री में, and everybody's been talking about elimination, ऐसे कर देंगे वैसे कर देंगे ये कर देंगे. So UPSC went and eliminated that entire section.
Yeah.
So but given that, what is your expectation of कि भाई आगे चल के prelims कैसा होने वाला है? I think this trend is solidifying क्योंकि पिछले साल I think was an experimental bit where they gave 8 or 10 questions which were like this. This time the entire paper was like that. So, Balab, I think this is here to stay. What's your take?
I'm not sure because of the sheer unpredictability that
Hmm.
UPSC has to offer. But yeah, UPSC has given us another way of asking questions, and we need to prepare for this as well for next year.
So, like on that note, how can somebody prepare for this sort of an exam? Why? Because I think it became very fact heavy, and जो aptitude वाली चीजें थी जहाँ पे from one statement I can gather some information because of the options, and मतलब कहीं ना कहीं मेरे पास interplay था. But अभी तो interplay eliminate हो गया completely. So how should one go about preparing in such a case?
I feel it will be very difficult for someone to change their preparation strategy, and honestly, nobody
Hmm.
knows what the right preparation strategy would be to clear
Hmm.
this exam. Uh, we'll have to stick to our sources, which are necessary. They might not be sufficient, but they are
Hmm.
definitely necessary.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I think we'll have to use our experiences, our interests, everything will have to come along into answering this paper. So honestly, I do not know how I would have prepared for such a paper next year.
So मतलब no changes, you're saying कि भाई जो भी तुम कर रहे थे you would have continued doing that. अभी prelims का
No,
भी तो मार्कशीट आया है, उसमें तुम्हारा क्या रहा? How much did you score in GS1 in last year's paper?
I scored 103.7.
That's a pretty comfortable margin.
Yes.
So like what was it that helped you, cross that 100 mark? कि मतलब prelims की तैयारी, what was your secret ingredient? Because this is your second attempt.
Right.
Like we were discussing before the video, कि first attempt you gave while you were in a job.
Right.
So, can you give me a brief about what was your preparation strategy in the first year, first attempt, and in the second attempt, and how did it differ?
I think in the first attempt, firstly, I was working,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and I could only afford a 2 day holiday before prelims. Uh, I was preparing, but then
Mm.
the core preparation that we have just before prelim, which is very important in my opinion. I could not do much there. I could not give any tests.
Mm.
I could not finish a lot of syllabus. I had to watch marathon videos. They had to cover art and culture and all that. So I think it was sheer the amount of preparation was lacking in the first preparation. In the second preparation, I supplemented my preparation with tests. I solidified my sources and I gave multiple revisions of those sources as well. So I think that's what worked in my favor. I think also test series ka whatever you don't know, whatever I did not know, I used to write that down and revise that just few days before prelims. So I think a cumulative effect of all these, along with the extra time I had to prepare, helped me sail through last year.
So मतलब what were your sources? मतलब हर जो basic subject के कुछ तो हमारे basic sources रहते हैं कि भाई Lakshmikant, Spectrum. What did you study from?
I think my book list was the same as
Absolutely standard.
Absolutely standard. There was nothing special. Bohi Lakshmikant, Spectrum. I used Mrunal sir's economy notes for economy and old NCRT for ancient and medieval. So yeah, this similar kind of sources.
Art and
I did
culture
not
के
have
लिए?
art and culture के लिए. I actually, from whatever I read in ancient and medieval history, I tried to like mix my art and culture preparation along with that itself. Like whatever I'm studying through timelines, I am looking at what. Suppose if I'm looking at the Ashokan age, I think the old NCRTs do have chapters on art and culture on each of
They do.
each king and all as well. So I think that's what I used. Apart from that, the NCRT of class 11.
11th key. That's themes and
Fine
world
art.
history, I think.
No, the fine arts
Oh,
NCRT.
finance, yes.
So
That's
I
a very
think,
good one.
yeah, that's a very good one, but it is not sufficient. That has little information.
I will ask you a follow-up question on this in the sense that then what is sufficient?
I don't think I think that is something that you might do. It's not fully necessary that you need to use that book as well, because the other sources would cover it. Apart from that, I still used the marathon videos on YouTube for art and literature.
So,
So yeah.
कौन-कौन से YouTube channels were you watching during your preparation? Because this is obviously one of the most, how would you say, मतलब, I am missing the word, but one of the most useful sources these days for preparation कि भाई हर चीज की information, be it for your optional, be it for prelims, be it for mains, anything that you want, you can find it on YouTube. So, like, what were the channels that you were watching during your preparation?
Sir, I did not particularly have any subscriptions or something like that ready, but I used to supplement my preparation with YouTube, as in if I was going to the gym or if I was cooking something or if I was doing
What?
something, तो साथ में
Gym में?
YouTube.
This is like one more time. Gym में?
Yeah, I've been given a lot of looks like this in the gym also, because YouTube, if you close the app, then the
Yeah.
video also closes. So I had to keep the video on in the gym and watch. I mean, just listen to the stuff while I was working out.
मतलब,
Not just YouTube, apart
generally
from that.
people listen to hip hop or some sort of power music to get them, the lifts. But तुम वहां पे बैठ के environment कर रहे हो, बढ़िया चल रहा है.
Apart from that, even the podcasts of the Hindu, there's a podcast called Three Things, which helped me a lot in my interview prep. And a
Which
podcast
one is
on,
it?
I think it's called, one is Three Things by Indian Express, and there is one
Okay.
podcast by the Hindu as well. So the controversial or the latest kind of news that is there, which are possible questions in the interview, I
Of
covered
course.
from there. Apart from that, and yeah, some nice podcasts on history and all also you'll find on Spotify. So I used to listen to them if I was traveling or something. Not all the time, but yeah, sometimes when I felt like. Yeah.
So what I understand of it is you had pretty much immersed yourself in the ecosystem, yeah, मतलब in your subjects, and any time that you had free time कि भाई YouTube में gym में तुम कर रहे हो, I'm sure traveling के time पे you're doing it. Another important question: did you prepare from home or did you like join some institute? What was your overall larger plan over here?
Right. I'd just like to add one thing to the previous part, that it was not that during my entire free time I was just listening to lectures and all. I used to count this as a part of my studies only. अगर मैं जिम में 1 घंटा सुन रहा हूँ तो 1 घंटा मैंने पढ़ाई करी है, मतलब जिम
बहुत
भी किया है.
बढ़िया.
So it was like that.
Hmm.
And apart from that, I did self study from home.
Okay, so you were preparing from home the entire time.
Yeah.
So, like, as somebody who has prepared from home, and तुम्हारे first almost serious attempt में you scored like a double-digit rank. So, what were the important factors for you that really helped you excel? कि मतलब what was it in studying from home or doing things by yourself? मतलब क्या ऐसा X factor क्या था तुम्हारे लिए वहाँ पे?
Firstly, I think the first attempt gave me a lot of learnings. I
Hmm.
had prepared sufficiently for it. Maybe in the last few days I could not
Hmm.
prepare well, but I had started my preparation back in 2020 itself.
Hmm.
So I was able to cover most of the stuff for my first prelims as well.
Okay.
But I realized how important it was to, attempt tests and all, even if it's not a full-fledged test series from a coaching institute or
Hmm.
something, but just maybe some MCQs online or something that you can that you can help to judge yourself after you have done a chapter or something like that.
Hmm.
So I think writing tests became a priority, even though I could not attempt a test series for my optional even in the second attempt. But still, I realized the importance of tests.
Hmm.
Apart from that, I think it is about consistency also. I could
Hmm.
not study consistently during my work because of the
Obviously,
flexibility.
time constraint वहाँ पे काफी ज़्यादा.
Yeah, time नहीं मिलता था. But in my second attempt, I tried to be more consistent, especially after prelims. Between prelims and mains, my
Hmm.
consistency was very, very good, I would say. So that helped.
So, on this note, but again, please qualify this as you see fit. You've always been a good student, right? How hard was it for you to maintain consistency during UPSC? मतलब was it difficult? Was it more of the same? Or मतलब क्या था? Because the number of subjects has drastically gone up. The variety of subjects has, increased. And the number of skills that you require has also shot up. कि तुम्हें writing भी आनी चाहिए, तुम्हें presentation भी आना चाहिए, तुम्हें बात करनी भी आनी चाहिए. And obviously तुम्हें मतलब time management, emotional management, all of those things are required. So how do you rate your ability to stay consistent before UPSC and during UPSC?
I think it is more difficult to stay consistent during UPSC because especially if you're doing self-study, there's no one to hold you accountable for it.
I completely agree with you because so many people come to us and say कि मतलब आप मैं पढ़ लूंगा सब कर लूंगा बस आप पूछ लो रोज पूछ लेना मेरे से. मैंने कहा यार मतलब इसका क्या मतलब है, मैं तुम्हारा पेरेंट थोड़ी हूँ कि अब मैं आके आप बेटा पढ़ाई करी क्या. बट अगेन मतलब दिस इज वन ऑफ द बिग प्रॉब्लम्स. सो हाउ डिड यू टैकल इट?
Firstly, I think it's normal to have a kind of a sine curve in your
हम्म.
consistency and productivity during preparation.
दैट्स ट्रू.
Sometimes you'll be very productive and study for longer hours. Sometimes you won't. And I think I used to just embrace that and feel like, yeah, if I'm at an ebb right now, sooner or later a high will also come. And secondly, I used to time how much I've studied.
ओके.
So I have a full log of how much I studied, what subject I studied since I left my job. So I used to see कि मैंने इतना किया इस दिन इतना किया इस दिन. So that also kept me accountable because I'd set a target there and I used to try to meet it every day.
So what other system did मतलब this is obviously one system, right? कि you had a time log. So two questions from the time log. Number one is what was your average study hours over the entire period, not in any one particular period, over the entire duration, and what was your time average during specifically mains prep?
Right. So before prelims, I had left my job 2 months. So while I was working, I could not do all this. But
Mm-hmm.
when I left my job 2 months before prelims last year, I used to study for around 9 to 10 hours every day, and I used to log that.
Mm-hmm.
If there was an ebb like of 4 or 6 or 5 hours in between, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
Apart from that, between prelims and mains, I tried to consistently maintain 10 hours. And after mains, it went downhill completely because of the sheer amount of preparation that was required for mains. I needed a lot of time to unwind, and I kind of even stopped making a log program. After that, when the results came and the interview schedule came, it started improving again. And before the interview, I was studying for around 8 hours or 7 hours every day.
What were you studying for 8 hours during interview prep?
So I had always tried to keep my optional as constant throughout the prep. So I was studying optional even after I finished my mains of last year.
So
And
that's
that,
a pretty smart way to go about it.
yeah, because the sheer amount of syllabus that my optional math has it's very difficult to cover it. I left a lot of stuff last year as well. Was better prepared this year for
I
it.
don't know, man. But given the fact that you had even left some things, you still scored 350 plus, I think.
No, I scored 300
Actually,
in
you
optional.
scored dot 300. I think 357. I had also seen one more math ka. And
Yeah.
math is one optional. Every year you see just like these skyrocketing numbers. So let's change tack a little bit. And I want to ask about what are the sources that you followed for your optional mathematics? And would you recommend mathematics optional to somebody from a non-engineering background?
Right. So um, my sources of mathematics were pretty simple. There's actually one Google Drive which has everything. It's available for free online, which
Okay.
has which has notes, past year questions. Uh,
So like if you can share
Factor
that with
questions.
me, I'll also pin that in the video comment. So anybody who has mathematics optional and is looking for resources, they can also check them out.
Sure. It's called G20, and
What?
I don't know what that means, but then it certainly helped. And there's this notes of this institute called IMS
Yeah.
were quite helpful for me, which were my totally my only source apart
Hmm.
from YouTube for things that I did not understand.
So was it UPSC related YouTube channels or general mathematics related YouTube channels?
Mathematics related YouTube channel, especially NPTEL, which is online courses from IITs.
So I think NPTEL also has courses for sociology because जब मैं अपने optional की तैयारी कर रहा होता था, they used to have these like great series of lectures. Everything is covered in a lot of detail from the top experts. So like, what more could you want?
Right.
Right. And second question, which was ki, would you recommend mathematics as an optional? Who do you recommend mathematics as an optional to rather than the other way around?
I think I recommend mathematics as an option to anybody who loves to solve problems. I
Mm-hmm.
think solving math questions was the best time of my preparation, and that's also what I had so much fun in it that I could maintain it consistently.
Hmm.
Like I could solve math questions for hours together. So it and time ka pata bhi nahi chalta tha. So if you actually sit and time yourself right for nine
Mm-hmm.
months, and it's very difficult. You'll see how difficult it is to sit to have
Yep.
a focus for 9 hours throughout the day. But when I used to do math, at it 3 hours तो ऐसे ही चले जाते थे. So
एक तो फिर मेरे को एक थोड़ा सा मतलब साइड आई हैव अ हैबिट ऑफ डाइग्रेसिंग फ्रॉम टॉपिक्स ऑफन तो मतलब there used to be this book called Irodov. Have you heard of it?
physics का right?
Ah, did
Yeah.
you solve that during 11th and 12th?
No, I didn't. It
Did
also
you
used to,
try?
it was too much for me. It was too difficult
हाँ,
for me.
that's fine and fair. तो ठीक
Yeah.
है मतलब see we've set a benchmark कि he did not solve Irodov because Irodov is considered कि भाई तुम IIT वाईटी की तैयारी कर रहे हो कुछ भी कर रहे हो अगर तुम Irodov solve कर पा रहे हो तो भाई तुम अलग लेवल पे खेल रहे हो Irodov
I
नहीं
was
कर
the
पा
worst in physics. I
ओके
was the worst. Physics was my worst subject out of the three. I was best in chemistry actually.
ओके ओके
Math भी नहीं था.
सो लाइक व्हाट पुश्ड यू टू चूज मैथ एज एन ऑप्शनल क्योंकि तुम इंजीनियरिंग बैकग्राउंड से आए हो तो चलो मतलब कॉम्प साइंस यू हैव अ सब्जेक्ट व्हिच इज नॉट अवेलेबल एज एन ऑप्शनल but there were plenty of optionals available which would have been I would say easier to complete than mathematics.
I think I'm from an electronics engineering background, so there is an
Okay.
electrical engineering option as well.
Hmm.
But when I saw that,
My
firstly there were
apologies
not.
first and foremost. I think I've been mixing you up like this the entire time. Sorry about that, but go on.
Yeah, so electrical engineering option was there.
Mm-hmm.
But firstly, I'm from electronics, and there is overlap, but there is not a lot of overlap between electrical and electronics.
Yeah.
Secondly, electrical syllabus is also, I mean, syllabus is fine, but resources are pretty scanty, I would say.
Hmm.
Uh, and apart from that, even during my engineering, I used to love the mathematical side of electronics engineering, which involved image processing and all. So I thought that math would be the best option for me.
मतलब generally people take electrical, civil, mechanical या मतलब engineering वाले options generally people take when they are also preparing for engineering services at the same time.
Okay. Okay.
Right? Because वहाँ पे फिर obviously you have to have that subject, and if you're also giving CSE at the same time, so you like go with the flow.
Right.
So you chose the option in that sense कि भाई मतलब you were enjoying mathematics even though you did not like mathematics before, you enjoyed it during college, which moved you towards that optional.
Yeah.
So about writing skills कि जैसे मेंस की अभी हम बात कर रहे हैं, ऑप्शनल की भी बात कर रहे थे, तो what special efforts did you put into improving your writing, and like what is something that people who are preparing for mains in 2023, what should they be focusing on first and foremost? मतलब बहुत सारी चीजें हैं, मतलब 50 चीजें मेंस में करने के लिए, सिलेबस करो, प्रैक्टिस करो, ये करो, वो करो, like what is the first thing that somebody preparing for mains from a fresh perspective, what is the first thing that they should do?
I think whatever you're studying, sometimes we read newspapers and all that. I think you should categorize the articles, whatever you read, according to one of the syllabus pointers in the main syllabus. In that case, you'll understand what topic is important. I mean, what article is important to read, as well as you'll be able to get a thorough understanding of the syllabus.
Yeah.
So I think for mains, at least for me, the syllabus was the key. I did not have much time during between prelims and mains because I was stuck with my optional.
True.
I had to do a very crisp preparation of mains, and unfortunately, I had not written any answer before
Prelims.
before prelims. Yes, so I had to toil very hard to
How
learn
much
the
did you write?
as in
How
I
many
just I just try to attempt a few PYQs for mains and the test series.
Okay, and which institute did you take the test series for in mains?
I took it for Vision IAS.
Okay, and what was your feedback of the test series? कि भाई सही था, नहीं था, क्या था?
I think test series is good for self introspection because for the first time I wrote a test, it took me 6 hours, and my answers were very, very long and very paragraphy, so to speak. And but I realized that that's this is not working, and I need to improve and do something. So I took time as my benchmark to finish the paper in 3 hours, and on the basis of that, I tried to tweak my answers. And soon I got the hang of it. I would have to admit that during college days also, the ones where I had to write subjective answers, I used to get very good marks there. So that might have helped. But to any serious aspirant, I would say that you need to practice answer writing from beforehand also. Had I probably, I can't say that I didn't have the time, but I should have also done it from before. Yeah.
So on that note, recently, there's been a wide variation in essay scores from what I've seen. Generally, any selected candidate, you'll see ki 400 plus minus 20 marks you're getting in 4 GS subjects. But for essay, I have seen a variation from 85 to 150.
Right.
So how much did you score in essay, and what do you think are the important aspects to have a good score in the essay paper?
I scored 130.
Okay, that's a pretty good score.
Yeah, but yeah, the marks have varied a lot this year, and I'm not sure why. And I'm not sure what worked for me, but I wrote the typical things are like multi-dimensional subheadings, end with a quote, ये सब.
तो एक जैसे जनरल एक परसेप्शन रहता है कि मेंस में जब आंसर लिख रहे होते हो ना आप, तो 20 क्वेश्चंस है, लेट्स से GS 1 2 3 की बात कर रहे हैं, एंड GS 1 2 3 में obviously there are topics that you're more familiar with and there are topics that you're less familiar with.
Right.
So how do you generate more points in the questions that you're less familiar with, and how do you organize points in questions that you're more familiar with?
So I think the questions that we are more familiar with are the easiest to write
Hmm.
and the fastest to write. We need to
Yeah.
make sure that they are the fastest that we write, because if we know a lot, then we might sit and write a thesis there, which is not the right way. We will
Hmm.
not have time for the rest,
Hmm.
right? And this is what I had done in my first few tests also,
Okay.
tests in the test series. But
Hmm.
that is something that we need to make sure that those are the ones that we need to, because we know that our content is there, the answer will come out well.
Hmm.
And for the ones that we do not know, I think we should. I mean, at least my strategy was to not write too much. Like
Okay.
if I'm filling 1.25 page or something, that's okay.
1.25.
As in, uh, even if there's some blank space left on the second page for a 10 marker,
Hmm.
I did not mind. For
Okay.
example, there was this first question in GS2 regarding case
So 10
laws.
markers, for those of you who are, have never seen a mains ka paper, 10 markers carry 2 pages and 15 markers carry 3 pages. And general wisdom had been कि भैया space तो भर के आना होता है, but Porush has had a different experience and I think that is the right way to go about it, क्योंकि जबरदस्ती पेज भरने से कोई फायदा नहीं होता.
For example, the GS2, the first question was regarding case laws, which
Mm-hmm.
I think solidify the environmental laws in the constitution or something like that. So
Yeah.
I did not know much there.
Hmm.
So जितना आता था उतना लिखा. मतलब I did not even leave it or write too
Hmm.
little.
खाली नहीं छोड़ा.
Yeah, but I wrote something that I knew, and because you see, if it's the first question, if they see that you're bluffing in the first question, that might. I mean, that's what I thought. I don't know how it is
Hmm.
in reality, but I thought that it's the first question, and they should see that you're writing what you know. You're
Hmm.
not writing anything random. You're not just writing a filler answer.
Yeah. So, did you complete all of your GS papers or did you leave some questions? क्या मतलब what was the overall attempt over there?
I tried to complete everything, but
तो जैसे कि
whatever
अभी एक
time,
क्वेश्चन था जहाँ environmental impact था, तो where you do not have a lot of information. तो let's say you've only filled one side of the page,
yeah.
but only very bare minimum information जो मुझे पता है, उसके अलावा कुछ नहीं, no fluffing.
I mean, think about it a little bit. Like कुछ कुछ याद आ जाएगा, कुछ
Hmm.
cases याद आ जाएंगे, आर्टिकल 21 याद आ जाएगा, MC मेहता याद आ जाएगा, कुछ याद आ जाएगा. But I mean, I don't think there was any question where I did not know anything about it.
Hmm.
We have to think. You have to think a little bit. And these questions where we are writing less, I think they involve the most amount of thinking. It's not कि हमने कम
Hmm.
लिखा है, इसका मतलब कि सबसे जल्दी खत्म हो गया question.
Hmm.
So I think thinking is also important. And for me, it was that I tried to finish everything in the paper,
Hmm.
but obviously there were a lot of questions that I had to squeeze in within the last 30 minutes or so on. So उनके लिए it was mostly flowchart बना दिया और जितना point wise लिखना है लिख दिया,
So
something like.
did you practice those flowcharts beforehand या वहां जाके free form?
No, I practiced मतलब I tried to use them wherever I could in the test series.
Hmm. तो मतलब
And
वही है कि देखे हुए थे पहले, कभी बनाए हुए थे एंड देन यू कुड
yeah.
रिप्रोड्यूस. इट्स नॉट कि मतलब जादुई तरीके से पेपर के बीच में तुम्हें फ्लो चार्ट याद आ गया और तुमने बना दिया.
हाँ, आई मीन वो तो टेक्निक आनी चाहिए कि कैसे तुम
हम्म.
अपने पॉइंट्स को विजुअल रिप्रेजेंटेशन कर सकते हो इन डिफरेंट फैशंस.
ट्रू. बिकॉज मतलब अगेन दिस इज वेयर द प्रैक्टिस एलिमेंट कम्स इन, आई फील कि बहुत सारी चीजें हैं करने के लिए. मतलब यू कैन रिप्रेजेंट योर आइडियाज विजुअली, यू कैन पुट इन डेटा, यू कैन ड्रॉ मैप्स, यू कैन मतलब कुछ भी करो यार, खाली स्पेस है तुम्हारे पास. बट ऐसा नहीं होगा कि तुमने कभी प्रैक्टिस नहीं किया और सडनली तुम पेपर में जाके मतलब जीनियस बन गए. वो नहीं होता.
या वो तो प्रिपरेशन लगती है. एंड
हम्म.
इफ यू ट्राई टू फिनिश अ पेपर इन 3 hours इवन इन योर टेस्ट सीरीज, वो बनाने ही पड़ेंगे आई थिंक. एटलीस्ट मेरी हैंड राइटिंग इतनी फास्ट नहीं है कि मैं सिर्फ रिटर्न उससे पूरे पेजेस भर के आ जाऊँ.
सो
लगता ही
दैट्स
है.
ट्रू. एंड ओवरऑल आई थिंक आई रियली लाइक योर आइडिया ऑफ कि भाई जितना आ रहा है ना बस उतना लिखो, बिना बात के स्पेस भरने की जबरदस्ती मत करो, क्योंकि
Yeah.
उसके चक्कर में फिर पीपल स्टार्ट पुटिंग इन बुलशिट पॉइंट्स. एंड मतलब I've checked enough papers by now to know कि भाई मतलब when I have to read the bullshit points, I'm much more inclined कि मैं इसको कम नंबर दूंगा मैं.
I think that is how I also thought कि ऐसे ही होगा. तो
So
एंड फिर
that's
लगता है
great.
कि if we are trying to fill this page for which we don't know, उससे जगह we should fill something
Hmm.
better that we know. I mean, otherwise वो question छूट जाएगा.
That's
something that
true.
we can be sure of.
So another thing that I wanted to ask is, did you attempt your answers serially in mains, or did you attempt in any randomized order? What was your priority order?
Um, I had planned कि मैं serially करूंगा या फिर 10 markers पहले 5 करूंगा, but I think I did not follow anything like that in the final exam. वो
Hmm.
अपने आप ही I saw the GS का paper, GS1 का पेपर, उसमें मेरे से फर्स्ट नहीं बना, सेकंड was a little tricky, third was a little tricky, फिर I was like चलो कुछ भी कर लेते हैं, but I think ठीक है, कल I think we should focus on I don't know, I won't suggest anything yet, whatever works for anyone, or maybe you can suggest a better strategy here. But I don't know of a proper strategy of attempting the mains
Matlab,
paper.
there isn't any, I'd say, great strategy over here. It's just optimization. Optimize kya karoge ki 15 markers are
Yeah,
getting you more marks, so try and attempt them first.
it
But
was not that. If
mhm.
there was some question which I was very unclear about, I attempted that because I was doing it in serial. Maybe if I was doing it in serially, but if there was a question that I did not was not very comfortable with at the start, I just left that and I went to the ones that I was more. Maybe the next question.
So a very important question over here ki in that moment when you saw the first question, you're like, ye to nahi aata. It's like second, ye bhi nahi aata. Third question, like, what the fuck? So what was going on inside your head? क्या सोच रहे थे? What was the conversation that you were having with yourself?
I think it was blank. I was just looking at the paper and trying to solve whatever I could. And in fact,
Hmm.
GS1 में the first
Hmm.
paper had something related to temple sculptures, right?
Hmm.
And I did not see the word sculptures. I मैं temple का आंसर लिख के आया उसमें. But उसमें obviously ये
Hmm.
था, मेरे को पता temples में sculptures तो होते हैं obviously.
Hmm.
So sculptures were a part of my answer.
But like a
And
very small part.
yeah, a smaller part as compared to. So I was like, so when I did not even notice that. My mom came home. When I came home, my mom recited that question to me. And I was like, sculpture, okay. And but then I tried not to like get depressed or something and hamper my preparation for the next exams because of
Hmm.
that. Because you
Because
see, पहले पेपर में फर्स्ट क्वेश्चन में तुमने ऐसी गलती कर दी, that's quite shameful, right?
shameful to nahi, but I think there is a lot of, how would you say, self criticism going on in
Yeah,
those moments. कि
yeah,
भाई पहला ही पेपर हुआ है, वहीं पे तुम जाके हगाए, और अब फिर मतलब दूसरे तीसरे चौथे का तो क्या ही करोगे? तो मतलब आई थिंक दैट माइंडसेट मैनेजमेंट इज अ बिग बिग पार्ट ऑफ मेंस, नॉट सो मच फॉर प्रीलिम्स बट डेफिनेटली फॉर मेंस.
yeah.
क्योंकि मेंस में जब 9 पेपर होते हैं, मतलब अब तो चलो, मतलब देव डन अ ग्रेट थिंग वेयर इन इट्स ऑन 2 वीकेंड्स. अर्लियर इट यूज्ड टू बी लाइक 5 days.
Okay.
कि भाई मतलब बैक टू बैक चल रहा है मेंस, भाई वो अलग गेम होता था. बट एनी हाउ, तो
And it was a little difficult for me also for me because I have a habit of sleeping very late in the night. I
हम्म.
sleep at like 5 a.m. When my dad gets up, I
हम्म.
sleep. It's like that because that is like because that is the time where I find
हम्म.
myself most productive in studies.
हम्म.
There's ज़्यादा disturbance वगैरह नहीं होती है, nobody is awake,
हम्म.
and I can and that personally works for me. Engineering में भी रात रात को ही होता था सब कुछ.
हम्म.
So that has stayed with me. But before, if you have to attempt like 3 days of mains exams continuously, you have to get up early. You cannot. You have to fix your schedule, right? So that is also very difficult to
तो
do.
कितना पहले तुमने स्विच किया था अपना शेड्यूल?
मैंने एक वीक पहले switch किया था schedule. Yeah, but I suggest अगर जल्दी हो सकता है तो थोड़ा कर लो.
Because
Because you
effectively
never know if it will work or not. You can switch it within 1 week.
I'm like, it's a gamble. It's a lot of things are in UPSC. मतलब एक risk है कि भाई
Yeah,
ठीक है, it might work in 1 week, it might not. So factor of safety किसका कितना चल रहा है उसके हिसाब से you can figure out.
yeah.
So coming to the interview. So Pourush was associated with us for the interview guidance program. We call it PT22. I don't know, IGP. Everybody else calls it IGP for some reason, but I really don't like that moniker. But anyhow, so what was your preparation for the interview? How much did you score? And what did you learn out of that experience?
I really enjoyed my interview preparation experience. Firstly, because that was the first time when I had friends who were also preparing for UPSC. So
Okay.
we made a group. Uh,
Hmm.
we used to ask each other questions every night. 1 hour. मतलब मैंने 2 groups में I was a part of.
Mm-hmm.
My foreign service was my first preference.
Okay.
So I thought, and I did not have a PSIR background, so I thought I would need something there. So there was a group of students who had PSIR option, and they were discussing optional PSIR questions. So I joined that group to learn from them. And apart from that, it was a lot of fun studying about your home state. I went to an interview where they told me that my birthday falls on Martyrs Day, when Mahatma Gandhi was assassinated. And they were like, "You've not visited the Rajghat. What is this?" So I visited Rajghat. I visited National Museum. I visited Gandhi Museum.
Oh, that's nice.
So
मतलब
all
पूरा
this
दिल्ली
from
दर्शन पूरा कर लिया तुमने, काफी चीजें कर
yeah.
ली.
And in fact, visiting National Museum was very nice. It helped me. I think it even if you're bored of like studying art and culture or something, you should go there once. It'll
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. I think I've been there 3-4 times now. It's one of my, favorite Vela days to spend because वो जो हिस्ट्री में हम चीजें करते हैं ना, सारी एंशिएंट एंड
yeah,
मिडीवल वाली, कि भाई कौन सा राजा कब था, किसने सिक्के बनाए, मतलब फर्स्ट गोल्ड कॉइन्स कब थे, पंच मार्क कॉइन्स कब थे, मतलब व्हाट काइंड ऑफ पेंटिंग्स वर बीइंग मेड, ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ स्कल्पचर. तो इंस्टेड ऑफ रीडिंग अबाउट इट, बिकॉज दैट कैन बी अ लिटिल ड्राई, तुम जाके देखो ना वहां पे कि भाई
yeah.
हाउ इज द अशोकन पिलर डिफरेंट फ्रॉम सम अदर
Yeah.
पिलर्स.
अगर टाइम मिले तो यू कैन गो. इट इज अ लॉट ऑफ फन. अपनी
Oh, it's
हिस्ट्री
a
के बारे में पता
definite.
चलता है. देयर इज अ वीआर ऑफ अजंता केव्स इन द
Hmm.
म्यूजियम. एंड वहां पे मैंने बुद्धा का महापरिनिर्वाण वाला वो देखा था.
Hmm.
फिर मेरे को अब तो पता चल गया. अब फिर याद रहेगा मेरे को कि वही होगा. अंडरस्टैंड राइट व्हाट आई एम सेइंग. तो
Yeah.
मतलब इट्स अ गुड एक्सपीरियंस, एंड इफ यू गेट अ चांस यू शुड डेफिनेटली प्लान अ डे आउट देयर. तो या इंटरव्यू में मैंने ये सब भी किया था.
Hmm.
And a lot of I studied in electronics also थोड़ा बहुत दोबारा, so that was also fun. हाँ,
Hmm.
तो interview was fun. I secured 185 in the interview.
That's a pretty good score.
Yeah, it's decent.
And मतलब इंटरव्यू में like this is one of the things, right, कि post मतलब every topper or everybody who is preparing for the interview goes to 15 different institutes,
Right.
right? Because you don't want to take chances at this stage. And in that, obviously, lies the great conundrum, which is कि Pourush was also associated with us for the PT22 program, कि personality test. And अब फिर वही होता है कि भाई फर्स्ट पेज पे आपको ऐड दिखती है जहां पे आई एम श्योर यू सीन योर फेस मल्टीपल टाइम्स बाय नाउ कि भाई हाँ मतलब यू आर आल्सो देयर. तो व्हाट डू यू थिंक अबाउट दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ अ प्रैक्टिस कि भाई क्या चल रहा है, क्यों हो रहा है, कैसे हो रहा है?
Yeah, I mean it's not great honestly, but I told you that I'm preparing a blog. So उसमें the first post is कि
हम्म.
these are what I did for test series. ये.
हम्म.
This is what it, this is these institutes are where I went for interview.
हम्म.
Usme I've made it clear. That's like the first stage in case anybody.
हम्म.
So I think it's better to follow whatever the blogs or something that we are writing rather than what
हम्म.
the coaching institutes are saying.
So that part I completely agree with. I think कि भाई टॉपर्स के ब्लॉग आप पढ़ोगे तो that is a much more authentic source of information. Why? Because they're not beholden to anyone. क्योंकि मतलब I know institutes जहाँ मैं मॉक की देने जाता था, तब even before the result is out, anything is out, right as I'm getting out of the mock interview they'll be like, अच्छा आप बैठो 2 मिनट, ये एक रिकॉर्ड करके हमारे लिए जाओगे, अच्छा कैसा लगा, अच्छा बहुत बढ़िया, हाँ जी हाँ हाँ.
Right.
तो मतलब दैट इज सॉर्ट ऑफ अ डूबियस प्रैक्टिस आई फील. एंड मतलब ठीक है, यू माइट हैव कंट्रीब्यूटेड बट लाइक डोंट बी सो सर्कमस्पेक्ट अबाउट इट. तो इट्स ग्रेट एंड आई वुड हाईली recommend that people do read blogs, and once Porush publishes his blog finally, we'll also share his blog in the video description so that you can go and check it out. And in that entire process of UPSC, what was your, I'd say, worst and what was your best experience?
I think my worst experience was waiting for the results, especially the insiders and all
Hmm.
who start telling you that the result will be out like 30 days or 10 days before the result actually comes out.
वो
So that
एक वो फ्रेंजी बिल्डअप करने वाला हर साल होता है, मुझे नहीं समझ आता कभी कभार, बिकॉज आई यूज टू बी दैट पर्सन कि भैया जब आएगा तब देख लूंगा ना मैं, मतलब क्यों मेरा दिमाग खराब कर रहे हो अभी से. बट देर इज सच एक्साइटमेंट, ओ माय गॉड 7 दिन में आ जाएगा, ओ माय गॉड आज आ जाएगा, शाम को, अरे 8 बजे आ जाएगा, अबे सवेरे आ जाएगा.
So I think that gave me a lot of anxiety, and in fact, अभी result जो आया उससे पहले भी I was not able to sleep for a week. मतलब I used to sleep
What?
very less. बहुत
Why?
कम नींद आ रही थी because of the anxiety of the result. आ जाएगा, like आ जाएगा. So insiders were saying. तो and ऊपर से prelims की prep की साथ साथ चल रहा था, तो the mix of that made my prelims prep also a little bit unproductive. तो उसकी टेंशन भी साथ में चल रही थी. So yeah, I think that was the kind of like the worst part. That was even worse than me failing prelims for the first time. उसमें तो मेरे को ज़्यादा issue नहीं लगा था, but ये सब the weight and all was very it made me
मतलब
very
anxious
anxious.
moments थे वो जो कि मतलब you won't want to relive.
Yeah. Apart from that, I think the best part of my preparation, I think, was preparing itself. Like we get to learn all these things. I mean, I was when I was in college, I did not know anything about history, economy, nothing. So when I started preparing, I really got
Hmm.
into it, and बहुत मजा आने लगा फिर. So I think studying environment, environment was one of my favorite subjects actually. So studying that, studying economy and all, it was a
Where
lot of
did you
fun.
study environment from?
I studied environment from a book called Shankar IAS Environment.
Oh yeah, that's a good book. मतलब यहाँ रखी हुई है Shankar. There is polity. There is the ancient
Yeah,
medieval history. All of those random books I've kept. Why? Because I've been going through them again. And Shankar is a great book, but somehow like somewhere I think people are just कि नहीं नहीं शंकर से क्या होता है शंकर से क्या आता है यार तुमको देखना क्या है कि शंकर is covering all your basics.
yeah,
Shankar will not answer all the direct questions in the
yeah.
paper, but Shankar will give you the tools with which to answer.
Yeah, and my strategy was like, if I don't understand anything in Shankar or something like that, Shankar has a lot of obsolete stuff, and some
It does.
parts of the book are not very well written also. But I think most of it does the job. The parts of the theory chapters and all which are in this towards the start.
Mm-hmm.
What I always used to do is if I don't understand anything, YouTube पे video देख लो उसकी.
Mm.
And environment की there are like thousands of videos available on YouTube. So I think, and I think environment ki there are very authentic sources also. You don't need to watch all these things from a UPSC channel. You should
Mm-hmm.
watch them from those channels which are specialized in that.
If you
Like
could
if you,
give some examples, that'd be great.
so Deep Look was one great channel which I used to regularly
Okay.
watch. Apart from that, just जो भी topic आया, जो भी keyword आया in my book में and you don't understand, just look for it on YouTube and you will find some channel from India की turtle NGOs or India के
Mm.
wildlife conservation societies or BBC, something
Mm.
like that. जहाँ पे you will find वो याद भी रह जाएगा फिर because you'll see it in real. So
I think कि जैसे बीबीसी की डॉक्यूमेंट्रीज आती हैं कुछ कि भाई प्लैनेट अर्थ सीरीज है देयर आर सो मेनी ग्रेट सीरीज जिनको अगर आप एक बार देख लो ना तो अ लॉट ऑफ थिंग्स गेट स्टक इन योर हेड
yeah,
एंड आई थिंक दैट्स द मोस्ट इम्पोर्टेंट पार्ट ओवरऑल वाई क्योंकि एक बार वो तरीके से आपके दिमाग में एक स्ट्रक्चर बना दिया उन्होंने इन्फॉर्मेशन का
yeah,
नाउ वट एवर न्यू इन्फॉर्मेशन यू एड ओके यू हैव समथिंग टू कंपेयर इट टू which also connects back to a point that you were saying early on कि syllabus के साथ जब तुम organize कर रहे हो चीज़ों के साथ खेल रहे हो the most important thing that you're doing is essentially organizing information in your head because if I've reorganized some piece of information I am much more likely to recall it than कि भाई मैंने बस 10 बार पढ़ ली है मैंने एक बार पढ़ के अगर उसको ऑर्गेनाइज करके देख लिया ना it is much more likely that I'll remember than if I've read it 5 7 10 times.
right.
Right. So I think we've been talking for quite a while now, and you
I
want to?
just
हाँ
I'd
जी, हाँ
like
जी.
to add one thing here that मतलब अगर suppose मैं कोई documentary देखता that should not be कि चलो भाई अब हम syllabus में documentaries भी add कर देंगे. It should be like think होना
Fair
चाहिए ना
point. Fair point.
कि think होना चाहिए कि चलो आपने
हम्म.
मैनग्रोव्स पे कुछ पढ़ा and
हम्म.
तो फिर नहीं मतलब थोड़ा और आपको जानने की इच्छा है तो आप YouTube पे सर्च करोगे तो एक डॉक्यूमेंट्री आपको मैनग्रोव पे मिली 10-15
हम्म.
मिनट की which you really enjoy. तो
हम्म.
वैसे it should not, I mean, at least for me, I think that if I am saying something, that
हम्म.
should not become कि भाई हम इसको भी अब हम part of syllabus डाल देंगे कि हमें ये भी cover करना है additional to whatever sources we have. It should come a little more organically, I feel.
That's true. मतलब this I think connects to the point that you were making when we were talking earlier कि genuine interest तुमको अगर है तो it helps.
Yes.
Which I also feel is the case कि भाई अगर तुम्हें genuine पढ़ाई में interest है तो it helps. क्योंकि
True.
यूपीएससी में देखो पढ़ाई करनी है और आपको अगर वो स्टेप 1 पे ही दिक्कत हो रही है कि यू आर नॉट नेचुरली इंक्लाइंड टू स्टडी, तो यूर फाइटिंग एन अपहिल बैटल कि पहले तुमको पढ़ाई के यूज टू होना है, फिर तुम्हें सब्जेक्ट्स के यूज टू होना है, तो मतलब देन इट गेट्स हार्डर एंड हार्डर एंड हार्डर, राइट? सो I'd like to ask you one last question is how were you associated with our channel and you came with us for the personality test? So matlab, did we have any useful inputs, insights, or is there something that we can do to improve in the information that we're giving or in the guidance that we're providing?
So with respect to your channel, I think I used to follow it quite a bit, especially to reduce my anxiety before mains and like examinations. The kind of
Great.
shorts and all that he used to post were,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I mean, लगता था कि किसी दोस्त से ही बात कर रहे हैं and he's trying to calm you down. So that was very helpful, and I hope you continue doing that in the
Thank
future.
you. Mhm.
And I was associated with the interview program of your channel as
UPSC
well.
prep.
It it was a good interview, but I think there was some things that could be improved there. I'm sorry if I'm
No,
saying
no,
this, but
definitely. So, well, this is an open feedback because see, when I'm preparing, when I'm doing something, so I tend to get involved in the process, and there will be some very obvious faults in my efforts, which will not be very easily visible to me. Which is where this feedback helps. Ki if you think there is something that we can definitely improve in our interview process, so please.
I if I compare the
Mm-hmm.
interview, my actual interview, right, it
Mm-hmm.
was very cordial. Like I think, and I think that was the case with most of my friends as well. That the interviews were very cordial. Like उसमें तुम कुछ भी बोल दो, marks से पता चलेगा how it went. You won't understand how it went during the interview or something. And I think that can be emulated in panel mocks as well, because that is how it is in the final interview, and that is what our goal is, right? To make it as close to the final interview as possible. So that would be my
Okay,
feedback.
so I agree with you, and I think that's a experience that I also had very similarly. Ki mocks में it can be adversarial at times. कि like they'll cross question you, they'll dig क्या कर रहे हैं, क्यों कर रहे हैं, कैसे कर रहे हैं, and when you go for the actual interview, you suddenly realize कि they'll let you speak.
Right.
Like they're not going to stop you, they're not going to interject, they're not going to counter questions. They're like हाँ तू बोल. And that I think is obviously something that worth emulating, but I also feel then that कि मॉक्स में हमारे पास मौका है, मॉक्स में मैं कुरेद सकता हूँ ना.
See, Kuretna is different, and like being, I mean, you can Kuret while
Adversarial is
being
different.
cordial as well. Right.
I know, I get that point and fair enough, but then again I think तुम्हारे मॉक में मैंने particularly because we've been talking a lot on calls and you came off as a confident individual who knew what he was doing and was generally scoring very well in mocks. तो तुम्हारे लिए मैंने स्पेशल इंस्ट्रक्शन वहां पे दी थी कि नहीं नहीं नहीं
Yeah,
इधर
I
तो
think
थोड़ा.
that experience also helps. Yeah.
So that was my understanding of it also
But yeah,
कि
one thing I definitely learned from that,
हम्म,
I mean, you know what happened, right? That I was sent back because of that, but that stayed in my mind, and I made sure not to repeat that thing again in any of my future books. So I think that was a good thing, definitely.
so I think that is something of a मतलब that is something that we strive to do कि every individual has different requirements, right? And like मेरे को अगर जैसे मैं तैयारी कर रहा था तो उस टाइम पे मेरी दिक्कत होती थी कि मैं ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट था, राइट? तो आई नीडेड समबडी टू लाइक पुट मी डाउन कि भैया इसके लगाओ इसकी. बट अब फिर वही है, जब तुम ओवर कॉन्फिडेंट वैसे भी होते हो तो फिर वो मतलब दिक्कत हो जाती है क्योंकि देयर नॉट अ लॉट that can be done in that respect. So I think I did tweak this for a lot of candidates कि भाई somebody was underconfident, we made sure कि नहीं 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 very good very good very good, and for some candidates like you we were like नहीं 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 थोड़ा थोड़ा धक्का लगना चाहिए. But I'm glad कि this is something that we can work on improving कि a genuine interview experience थोड़ा इसकी तरफ हम काम कर सकते हैं, and thank you for that feedback. But like more than that, I would wish you best of luck for your future journey, man. You'll get IFS. मतलब इसमें I think no doubt, no chance, क्योंकि first 28 ranks अगर भर देते IF, I think there are 35 vacancies.
Right.
हाँ तो फिर like no chance, your IFS. Congratulations, man.
Yeah.
And thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for this wonderful interview. And happy journeys, man.
Thank you, and same to you. All the best for your channel, and I hope it does well, very, very well.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.